Okay, folks, here we go.
Guys, here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
Yacht, stand.
Yeah,
Take it.
take it at midfield.
Okay,
Just go
take
right
it.
now.
Okay,
Go to
well,
camera 3.
can
3.
you
Go to the gate. Perfect.
you.
Just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay.
Take it.
Go right now. Go to camera 3. Go. Yep.
Can you
Go to the gate. Perfect. Just like that. No music.
I'm going to hand to Q, Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
On radio in the Canal Zone.
All right, guys, mic check.
Go ready.
Okay, Ricky, mic.
Yep, I am ready.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Willie, mic check.
Yep, let's go.
1B, stand by.
10, 9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
All right, guys. It is Friday night, November 1st of 2024, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Really excited for the show tonight. It's amazing how fast the year is going by. Ricky, what's up, man? How's it going? Happy Friday, man.
Happy Friday, everybody. Willie, good to see you out here from the West Coast. November 1st, big day, big month in Panama, as
Yep.
it is a very patriotic month there. But anyways, guys, thank you, everybody, from the bottom of our hearts, everybody. Thank you. You know, we do this show every Friday for you guys, our viewing audience, and of course, our live guests who are always welcome to comment and be a part of us. So with that, we'll start our first cheer.
Yes.
Cheers to everybody on our happy Friday, the day after Halloween. I think it's called. I think they call this Day of the Dead.
Yes, Dia de los Muertos, for sure. Yep, indeed. And it is
I think everybody goes and visits the cemeteries like that, and
and that's not just a Panama thing. That's, it's big in Mexico. It's big in a lot of places. So that's more of a Hispanic thing, maybe even originates from Spain. Who knows? But that, it is definitely that month. And like you said, the whole Fiestas Patrias, not just one day. It's really the whole month, because Panama has an interesting history of independence. It's
there's
it
about
seems like
5
an
of those.
independent- Yeah, there is. There's quite a few of them, which interestingly enough, we are going to cover those, but not today for a couple of reasons. We've got some guests that are coming on, so we don't want to, prolong the first part of the show. But, it does go on throughout the month, all the way through to the end of the month. In fact, the first independence happens last in the calendar month, but it's the first one chronologically, way back in the 1800s. So later on, next week or the week after, we're going to have a pretty good long special on all these Panama independences and how all that's transpired. But nonetheless, it is that time. And it's hard to believe, God, already that Halloween's over, man. Can you believe that? It's
November. It's almost the end of the year. Well, with that, I want to remind everybody that Willie and I were both Zonians, born and raised in the Canal Zone. And, this show brings us both such great happiness, providing you with this Zonian history, this way of life of ours, and informing and leaving a little bit of history of who we were. But with that, and we also like to bring you up-to-date information on what the whole Zonian community is up to. And like Willie said, a lot of our history. So, guys, with that, I welcome you to our show. I think this is our 40th show, and Willie and I are really, really happy to be a part of it. And, Willie and I have gone through a lot with this show on learning how to podcast,
my
guys.
God, you ain't kidding, dude.
Yeah, and it's been a great, great ride. So I hope you guys enjoy our show. It's going to be a great, great show.
Yeah,
Willie, you have another toast for us?
Yeah, why not? Hey, it's Friday night. It's happy hour at the Balboa Yacht Club, so salute to everybody, man. And we got some cool guests. What's interesting about tonight's show, for a long time, we've looked at the Canal Zone and especially the term Zonian, which we've had several conversations about that here. What is a Zonian? Who is a Zonian? As kids, I think we were a little bit protective of the brand, overprotective, you might say. And Zonians were very exclusive. It was an exclusive club. But
it was to the point where you had to have like a parent or something before you.
Well,
Before
and
you
even
were truly a Zonian.
well, even unofficially, right? You take, for example, uh, when you got into junior high, that's when things really changed because prior to that, you're in an elementary school, you're in your local community. You're either Los Rios, Diablo, wherever. Same thing on the bases. All the bases had their own elementary schools as well. So there was a separation there. It wasn't until you got into junior high, and that's when suddenly you were mixed in with several other people, and that then became, the first opportunity to
Oh, good
deal
point.
with Americans that were
Yeah.
not civilians,
Yeah,
right?
and Panamanians, because we had a lot of Panamanians
Correct.
that were there.
Correct.
Which Willie, I was looking doing the spillway research for our show today. I saw the spillway posted the tuition fee dues for non people who live in the canal zone. They had
Yeah.
a word for it like non-sponsored or something like that.
Okay.
It was go to Balboa High School, $125 a month.
Oh, nice.
That
Oh,
was in
wow.
1973. So
Right, right.
that was pretty cheap, I
Yeah,
don't
heck yeah.
maybe back then that was a lot of money, but it doesn't
Salute,
seem
Pat.
like it didn't seem like it was a lot of money back then. Yeah.
No.
Oh, salute to that.
Well,
So that's why we had a lot of Panamanians, in our schools because it was a tuition base and it
yeah.
wasn't ridiculous. It didn't seem ridiculous to me.
No,
Maybe it was.
not considering what they were getting for it, certainly, and we certainly had that certainly was a bit different there. Oh, wait, you know what, Rick, I accidentally muted you, brother. Sorry, hit the wrong one. Go ahead and unmute yourself. But
That quickly?
that was an interesting dynamic there about all that stuff, and you know what I always found interesting, especially in St. Mary's, that was for a lot of us our first introduction to dealing with Panamanians other than our family, right? It was
Yeah,
it was one thing,
and military kids too, because a lot of military kids went to St. Mary's. It
yeah.
wasn't just the civilians. So you're right. Us St. Mary's fairies, like they called us, we had that international experience at a younger
We
age.
did. We certainly did,
But still, transferring to Corundu, that was a tough year. I mean, I got in a lot of fights that year, man. 8th grade, I think I fought like 6 times.
It was. Well, because that's when you're first, elementary school, there's a lot of, you can almost call it hand holding, right? You're in the same class the whole time. You go with the class together, even to for PE. You go together, you go to lunch together. Everything is all done with one person, becomes a very close, tight-knit relationship. You get into 7th grade, and all of a sudden, first of all, you got a bunch of 9th graders that think that everybody's a punk,
Yeah.
So at 7th grade, you're intimidated, and you're in different classes each time, and bell rings, and you go and there's a bunch of people there. Now you got lockers, and I mean, it's a whole different environment.
Man,
school-wise.
wasn't that the greatest feeling? I don't know, people out there, what do you guys think about your first day at Corundu? What was that like? And then that campus was so beautiful too.
It was
Yeah.
really, really well laid out. It was
well laid
very
out.
modern for that era. For me, my first experience in Corundu was in 9th grade because I did St. Mary's all the way through 8th grade.
I went through 7th because my
Yeah.
sister left, and then I kicked and screamed. If she goes, I go. That's the way it was. So my
Right
dad's
on.
like, all right, go to Corundu.
Yeah, no, I did 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then, and shortly after I went to Corundu, St. Mary's went all the way up to 12th grade. I'm like, thank God I got to that before that because hell, I would have probably been stuck doing that one.
Yeah, the uniforms is what had me in, man. I couldn't handle wearing those uniforms, man. All the other kids were looking cool. We had to wear
I was a little rebellious
pants,
on
no
that one,
shirts.
man. I did the whatchamacallits. I had a pair of corduroys, a couple of pairs of blue corduroys. Because the corduroys in the late 70s, early 80s, that was the thing, man. So I had a
the
couple
little
of,
bell bottoms.
yep. And then what was the hot shoes in the late 70s, early 80s? What was a hot pair of shoes?
I think I know for sure the sandals that had the rainbow color, the rainbows on the
Yeah,
side.
but for the guys,
get the stack
there was
one.
a cool pair of shoes in this late 70s,
The
early
hush puppies?
80s. Yes.
The hush puppies,
Yes.
The little boot
Absolutely.
ones. I have one of those. Those were cool.
Correct.
The
Yes.
jeans, those were.
Those were badass, man. They were comfortable. They had a nice thick rubber sole on them and all that. Yeah, the hush puppies. That was so cool. That's good memories there.
They're
But
great
anyway,
memories. That's what the show's all about.
it is,
We're talking about
even though
more
it's full
memories.
of rabbit holes, because if we just went down a rabbit hole here, because
Oh, I know we did. We did.
about, the
Totally off the agenda.
totally, because what I was bringing up was, tonight's show we're having the Albrook Jets, and
Yep.
one of the things that we want to do, which is where this whole digression started from, was what is a Zonian and what we considered a Zonian in the late 70s when were spoiled rotten and loved everything about the zone, and we were very exclusive in our club. And now you fast forward 2024, the Canal Zone is gone, right? The society is certainly doing a lot to keep this together. We'll talk about that here in a second. But as we see our group start to shrink, we start becoming a little bit more flexible, and so suddenly it's like, oh no, wait, Zonians are this and that and the other. And truth is, that's what the Zonians were. In fact, if you think about it, as we've learned from Dave and our historian on historian, which, by the way, guys, normally November 1st is our history segment, but we've had some scheduling conflicts and whatnot. So Dave will actually be joining us on the 15th. So not next week, but the week after, and we'll pick up there. Fortunately, November actually has 5 weekends, so we would have 5 shows for November anyhow. So it's still going to be a bit of a spread before he comes back in December anyhow. But nonetheless, as Dave showed us, the Canal Zone early on was run by the military, right? The first governors were all military. We learned that when prior to Gothel's, I believe it was, I think Stevens resigned, and then they brought in Gothel's. Gothel's was a military guy. He was a colonel, Colonel Gothel's. And that was done because Roosevelt said, to hell with this. We're not going to go through this again of having our chief engineer resign. You're in the military. You're ordered there. That's you don't have a choice. That's where you're stationed is Panama. Your commission is to work there. So, but the military has played a big role in the Canal Zone from day one. From day one, they built the canal. They ran it. They did all those things. Not technically built it, but nonetheless, they ran that entire operation. They governed it. So absolutely, military is Zonians as well. If you live down there, if you work down there, if you did any of those things, you're certainly a Zonian, and then the Panamanians as well. So that's one of the things we want to do with this show is also bring more of that military component. Bring more of the Clayton, Albrook, Howard groups, and as long as the Atlantic side as well. But even these guys have some pretty large presence on Facebook, and I've joined most of those groups, and there's a lot of great chatter, and there's a lot of the one thing we have always heard from folks in the military that have been around the world and have been stationed in different places, that Panama was by far the best. It was the most unique. It was the most welcoming. It was the best experience for them of all the ones they had when they were stationed anywhere. And so, it stands to reason that we celebrate that as well and bring them into the fold. So that's going to be exciting to do that tonight and have these folks from the Albrook Jets. We've got a good group from Albrook. These are the OGs of the Albrook Jets. A lot of my age group and some of Ricky's age group don't remember, the guys we played with was a different era, but Albrook Jets was a really good football team when they got started. They had a quality team. They had some really good players. And in fact, they were the first ones to beat the Rams. The Rams were the kings of the roost here when Little League football started. And Albrook, one of the first expansion teams. And it didn't take long for them to start playing ball and knock them out before the Kiwanis did, before Cristobal did, surprisingly, because, back then Cristobal was a big presence as well. But, it wasn't until Albrook Jets that the Rams finally were dethroned. So that should be a lot of fun talking about that and learning about those, what it was like for those guys. And of course, learning some other stuff here that we're going to go over in Ricky's Bochinche. But let's see what Pat's got to say. 2 full-size gyms at Corona. Yes, for sure. It was a great place.
Air conditioned too.
Yep, it was. Absolutely. It was air conditioned. Like your hush puppies. Dude, those were the coolest shoes, man. When you got your first pair of hush puppies, you're like, okay, you just elevated your game in the zone.
Oh, man. Yeah. You fit it. You can go to the Owl Show now.
Yeah, exactly. No, they definitely were. That was good stuff, man. That was part of the hip culture back then, man. And, the boom boxes, hush puppies. What else was going on back then that we would consider in style? What did they call those? With the puka shells, wasn't it? The necklaces, the white, those were cool. Everybody, whether you were or you were not a surfer, you wore that because that was kind of indicative of,
Hawaiian shirts. There was like this one guy hung out in the zone, and I think he was a Zonian, but I think he lived in Airhand, and he used to sell all the Hawaiian shirts that he would have them made. Nice. And he had that going on there. All the Zonians, the Hawaiian shirts were from this one guy.
That's when also all the T-shirts started to become popular. The OP and Lightning Bolt Hang 10, Lightning Bolt. What was the other one? Ron John Surf Shop. If you had a Ron John Surf Shop shirt, that was cool, man. You were definitely, I've been chatting with some folks in the, there's a surfing group. Hey, Daniel, saludos, on Facebook. And there's a lot of history there. We've been chatting up a little bit, and that's something I won't say it's in the works, but we have, planted a few seeds to say, hey, let's put a surfing show on. I think that would be a lot of fun to
I got some OGs.
Yeah, you do, especially out there in your neck of the woods. There's a couple of them out there.
But God, getting them to agree to get on live with us is the hard part.
Yeah, that's the whole catch, everybody. But here's the funny thing: when it's a challenge to do it, but then when they come on, they're like, "Man, that was fun, man. When do I do it again?" I really love it. Once they do it the first time, they
break the ice.
Like,
Correct.
it's that first jump off the high dive, and then once you hit the water, you're like, "Okay, you see, this is cool, man. Yeah, get back up and do it again, man."
We'll do it again.
So, but anyhow, let's we do have some folks that are going to be jumping on here shortly, so we're going to move things right along. Real quick, guys. Again, we talked about the importance of the society and what they mean to us and what they mean to this whole Canal Zone story. And so, we're still running that promotion, 100 memberships in 100 days. And what we're talking about here is helping to grow the membership in the society. The one thing that will help more than anything to keep us, I say us, it's the Pan Canal Society, and I am a member of it, so I could say us, is membership, right? It's $50 for the year. It's $250 for the Governor's Club, which is a 5-year membership. But you get so many great privileges out of it, and those reunions are so awesome. So renew your membership now. Get your friends and family, if they're Zonians, buy them a membership as a gift. We're in that holiday season now. It's November 1st, so we are now in that holiday season. People are going to start doing some more shopping and going on. So go out there and buy a membership for yourself and for your family members, $50, right? That's what you're spending on a gift now anyway, right? And make sure you mention to the society that you want to participate in the Happy Hour at the Balboa Yacht Club program. So if you haven't registered in a while, and you're way overdue, that $10 that they normally charge, that's being waived. If it's a new membership, that $10 administrative fee, it's being waived until December 31st. So just mention the show and you'll get that cool collector's card that we're showing on the screen there. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of we're almost going to make that into like a collector's card here eventually. We're gonna start making this something that everybody's gonna like, man, and want to have it. It's got a cool, iconic little image on it, right?
It's iconic. I mean, that is from the spillway too. But God,
yes.
Every Zonian uses that picture.
Absolutely, because that was almost our protest, right? That this is our home. Don't take it from us, and so it's something that's near and dear to a lot of us. And but yeah, so we have that collector's item there, and next year we'll do this again, hopefully, and maybe have a different picture, and these become collector's cards. But here's the other cool thing: we have some great sponsors that have helped out with this program, and we want to help them out as well. And so Kelly Fenton and Rachel Fenton with Compass Realty, absolutely fantastic, top-notch realtors, both for the state of Florida as well as Panama. They've got a lot of connections in Panama. So if you're looking to do something in Panama, looking to maybe retire or move to Panama or just invest or get a vacation home in Panama, reach out to Kelly or Rachel Fenton at Compass, and they'll help you out. We've got Cascadas Lodge with Andrew Eftimitis. He's been helping us out a lot on the show here, and he's sponsoring this program as well. And he's got his Sea Panama program with the charter boats. They've got the regular scheduled service to Contadora, in addition to partial canal cruises, Toboga Island trips and whatnot, fishing trips. It's amazing. They have quite a few different boats, different sizes. We've got the Howler Monkey sauce. These guys are fantastic. These sauces are genuine, the real thing, man. They're flavorful, Zonian made. They have a good flavor. If you like hot sauce, there's a lot of hot sauces you buy out there, and they just want to kill you with the heat. And you end up having no flavor to them at all. And these guys are smart. They do have one that's got some heat, but the rest of them, they got the heat, but they also have a really great flavor. My favorite is the Amarillo. That's a fantastic one. Goes really great with steak. But nonetheless, they have 4 different ones. They're available on Amazon or in Publix here in Florida in the Southeast. We've got Panama Motorcycle Adventures. That's Jerry Curtis's outfit. He was on here a couple of weeks ago talking about all the things they do with that Panama Adventure. So give them a shout. Scan that QR code when you get that card, because they've got some really cool things going on in Panama with motocross and four wheeling and whatnot, not just motocross. Beacon Solar is Larry Cicero's outfit. They're up in the Northeast. They've got some amazing solar programs. They're going to be coming to Florida here soon. We're going to hopefully get him on to talk about that here soon as well. But check them out. It's not the same solar that we've seen in the past. They've got some really cool stuff going there. Panama Arts and Al Sprague Art. We know what these guys are all about. Al Sprague is really, the artist of Panama. One could argue, right? Their pictures. I mean, his artwork, his paintings are absolutely iconic. They capture the essence of Panama, of the Canal Zone. They've got a lot of other items. As far as the tumblers, they've got towels, a lot of different things there from that collection is really awesome. And then we have Zonian Life. That's Bruce Bateman's outfit. Bruce was an Albrook Jets player, so he tuned in. He just said hello just a moment ago. He'll be checking out some of his friends here on the Albrook Jets team. And so, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, but make sure you check out Zonian Life, guys. If you want to get a shirt from the Albrook Jets, from the Balboa Rams, the Clayton Cowboys, whichever one you want, they've got them there at Zonian Life and a lot of other cool Zonian memorabilia. So definitely check those guys out and give them some love for sponsoring us here. And again, make sure, guys, $50 is what you're going to be spending on a Christmas gift right now for your loved one or friend. If they're a Zonian, why not get them a membership to the society? They win, you win, the society wins, we all win. So it's definitely a no-brainer there. So, but yeah, that's what we have going on right now as far as that sponsorship program. But nonetheless, again, in the essence of time here, let's move right along and do the one episode of that piece of this game that Ricky absolutely loves. This is where Ricky starts doing his song and dance and whatnot. So nonetheless,
hopefully my internet holds up. There've been because right now we're in a high peak in California at this hour, guys. So that's why I got booted out on the last.
Well, if we can get Ricky to move to the East Coast, we don't have that problem here. I'm just saying. I'm not going to say anything, but nonetheless, we'll.
West Coast guy, man. I'm a Californian.
Yes, you are. But then again, high tech California up there, right next to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I know, the tech city of the world, and we can't even get proper internet.
Yeah, go figure that one out. But nonetheless, let's do our favorite segment here. That Ricky, what do we call this again?
The bochinche, straight from the Canal Zone.
Well, there you go. You should have seen him. He was dancing away too. As soon as that camera came back on, he stopped. So what do you got for us, Ricky?
Well, God, first I have a black screen. So here we go. There I am. Hey, guys, everybody. Welcome to my favorite segment of Bochinche. Today, we're going to take you to a couple of spillway stories of 1973. Last week, we did 63. We're going to do 73 this segment, this Friday, and a couple things happening in the zone. Actually, the zone was just humming at this time. Yeah. 73,
great time to be in the zone.
Like treaty talk at the time, but I'm sure there were
none of that
talks going on. But we had no idea of that. I was 10 years old that year. But anyways, there was two big appointments that year. One very important was there was a new member of the Panama Canal Board of Directors, which when the Canal Zone was running it, that was a big,
sure.
big post to have. And that year we had Jack Kubish come in, who was the Assistant Secretary of State for Inter-American Affairs. So this guy was up to date on everything Panama, shipping, etc., within the Latin American community. So welcome him in 1973 to the Board of Directors, as well as we had a new Chief of Police named that year. And that would be Mr. William Bill Kessler was named as our Chief of Police that year. Mr. Kessler was the father of 4 great baseball players and 4 great quarterbacks. All 4 of his kids were quarterbacks. They had an older daughter, but I knew the 4 kids: Billy Kessler, Mike Kessler, which was my age, Timmy Kessler, which was your age, right?
Yep.
Because he used to hang out with you and Roby, and then
Yep.
Brian Kessler, the younger one. All
Correct.
four were great pitchers and great quarterbacks. Well, he took over for Charles Smith, who retired. And back in the day, the Zonians, really the top position was only changed when you retired. They really didn't change those top director positions all the time. That was pretty long term. Well, he was a 13-year veteran before he was promoted to chief of police. He had served since 1959 when he joined the force, and he policed on both the Atlantic side and the Pacific side. Before he joined the force, Mr. Kessler was in the Air Force, and he did his time there. And then in 1959, he joined the Canal Zone Police.
Yeah, I forget what he did in the Air Force. My dad was telling me about that. That he said that was one of the reasons why they got along well in the Air Force, because they weren't in the Air Force together, but they both were former Air Force. So
yeah, he was like security, police, that kind of stuff.
I don't think it was. I don't because remember they used to laugh about white because my dad wasn't in law enforcement in the Air Force either. He was in media. He was a film guy, a video guy. So that's why they used to laugh about their careers were not. You wouldn't have thought that they would end up in law enforcement.
Yeah. Well, he ended up taking a lot of classes and courses with the military. 6 years after he joined the force, he was named. Became sergeant. So he was on the up trajectory. So he was well educated to do that.
Well, my dad said that everybody really really liked him. He was a great leader.
He's a great leader. Yeah. And his kids were fantastic.
Him in Houston, that we've talked about. That my dad always has told me that story about. Houston was at Gorgas Hospital, and somebody was getting out of hand and needed some help, and he called for backup. And he says, "This is how you know a cop's cop, because every police car in the zone pulled up to Gorgas Hospital. Man, when he wanted backup, everybody was there.
Showed up.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, back to
this next story, guys, is hilarious. I'm going to mention it because it's just typical Zonian. So they put out on the newspaper for all the Zonians to read, big letters: don't leave things in your U.S. bound cars. So apparently there was a scam going on. First of all, the Zonians were loading up their cars so that they wouldn't have to ship stuff, when they were moving back.
Right.
So they would load up their cars with all stuff, right? And then so there was 3 issues with doing this. First was weight, because everybody would lie about what they were putting on the car. Like, because they said that it said clearly nothing personal, no extras, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they know how the Zonians were. The second major issue with leaving things in the car was stolen property claims, right? Everybody, I lost this, I lost that, right? And the third and final biggest issue of this scam, probably wasn't a scam, but let's just call it a scam, was
what it was.
Reimbursement to cover losses. So everybody was saying, "Oh man, I sent sofas, beds, they're all gone."
Yeah, of course. It's like you had a 9-bedroom house apparently.
Yeah. Oh man, disappeared, man. Oh, here's my claim, And of course, the Canal Zone government would pay that off. So the Canal Zone government got onto the scam and said, "Look, we're not paying any more reimbursements. We're telling you, don't put anything in the cars."
Yep.
So that's kind of a cute story I wanted to share with everybody.
Such another Zonian story, man. It's such a Zonian.
Yeah, because it's typical, something straight out of the Canal Zone.
For sure.
The other big thing that was straight out of the Canal Zone, guys, is our United Way productions. Everybody that was
a big deal, man.
But that was a big deal. They did a lot of charity work, fundraising, and all the Zonians were able to participate.
Yeah.
Well, this year, 1973, our beloved Bruce Quinn, which did a phenomenal job all through his life.
Yeah.
Deep into his years, he had a big production called 1776 that year. To promote our independence and all that stuff. And if you remember, which probably next week I'll do the 1976 spillway, because that was a great year in the zone. All the parades and everything that we did to celebrate that the 200 year.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, this story I'm bringing it up because a lot of a couple of my friends had big roles. I mean, they were actually called out on the article as supporting cast that did a phenomenal
Okay.
job. K-Boy Richie was one of them. So
Right
right
on.
on, K-Boy. And he's a happy birthday guy, too.
Yeah, sure
And
is.
Charlie Reese. Charlie Reese also had a big part in that play, which was a hit, by the way. That 1776 play did a great number.
Very
Right.
good.
So that's something I wanted to mention. And on the sport part of what was going on in 73, I'm bringing this up because I was 10 years old. And in November 1st, well, the first week of November was, if you remember, Wooly, guys out there, it was tryouts for baseball. So
Yeah.
if you moved in from, let's say, Farm League to Little League or Little League to Fast League, the first year you had to do tryouts. Remember, you had to go out there and field a couple
Sure
balls
did.
and stuff like that. Boy, that was so scary.
It was, man.
This particular one was my first year in Little League, so I was at that tryout that was mentioned in the spillway
Okay.
on this day, November 1st. They had that, and as well that weekend was the Palm Bowl, the 1973 Palm Bowl, which
Okay.
Canal Zone College won that year, which brings us back to, we're going to be talking about this later, but that was we remember on our show prep we talked about Timmy Connor, the great quarterback from Diablo. We talked about that.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the year he was a quarterback for the Canal Zone College, and they won the championship.
Okay.
So yeah, he was a stud quarterback.
Sure.
Which
is why he got the All-Isthmian.
Right, and he got the All-Isthmian. Yes,
Because
normally that went to that was unfair. That always went to whatever team won the championship.
That's what I mean. And so therefore he got it. Although he was good, but because he was champion, it wasn't
the year I played. There were 5 all-zone quarterbacks playing that year, and Rick Dahlstrom, the brother of David Dahlstrom, was the one that got it that year. We were all like, I don't think so. But his team won.
Yeah,
so that's the way that was.
Winning has its privileges.
Saying that because he was a good quarterback. He was a good quarterback. But we had Mike Kessler was one of those quarterbacks.
Okay.
Ricardo Roots, we also had at quarterback that year. Yeah. And the Atlantic side also had a very, very good quarterback, except I don't remember his name. Super fast guy. So we're very competitive, very competitive. So that Palm Bowl was coached, but there was only 3 teams back then: Cristobal, Balboa, and 73, and Canal Zone College.
Nice.
So the Cristobal High School came in second, and their coach was the one that coached the All-Stars, and that was Doug Litton. Willie, you and I met his son, Greg Litton, I believe.
Yeah.
At the reunion. Another great athlete from the Atlantic side.
Yeah.
And for the Balboa High School team, Bill Gibson was the coach.
Yeah,
which one of our guests tonight probably played for him.
Nice.
And on the Canal Zone College coaching staff, they had Chuck Holland, not the same Holland that we play with.
Yeah,
Chuck Holland, and his assistant was the great John McGee, Coach McGee.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's what we had going on in 73 in the Canal Zone.
Coach McGee went to he ended up going to the Navy, and he flew A6 Intruders. Remember that movie Flight of the Intruder?
Yeah.
That's what he did. That's what he did in Vietnam, was flew A6s. That was really cool.
They actually used those when let's not talk about politics. Let's get back to our next segment, because I was going to get into the Iran pariah when we just wiped out their Navy in 8 hours.
Yeah. Right.
P6s did most of that job. But let's not go there. We always say, we're not a political. We're always into it. Our next one comes, because this is very good. I hope that one of our Zonians can get this gig. The Panama Canal Museum, guys. This is the one that started in 1996. It's in
Panama
Costco,
Museum. The one in Panama, or the one? Okay.
Yeah. And they're about preserving the history of the Canal Zone, but as well as the history of Panama.
Sure. It is the Panamanian outfit.
Yeah, what we cover on this show is basically that museum, guys. So they have every year they just announced that they have this coming up, this annual artist residency program called Faro 2025.
Okay.
And Willie, what this is about what they're doing is that they're inviting emerging artists to participate in this contest, right?
Right.
And emerging, they mean young artists, but of course it's for anybody, right? But
Sure.
so you used the word emerging, but they meant young artists, and the artists and all the contestants will have access to all their information, all their archives, etc. And then they want the contest, guys, first to be an emerging minds, like a new mind. See where we're
Sure.
going with this. They wanted them focus on what they called the route to sovereignty. Because remember, in Panama, this is huge, because of the history of Panama always being either with Colombia, Spain, the United States, etc. So this is big for the nation, the route to sovereignty. So they want you to focus on the years 1965 through 1999. And 1965, if you recall, that's when the January 9th stuff happened.
It was
Am I right? Was it 65?
it was 64, but it carried over to 65. That really was.
Oh, yes, right. You're right. It was 64. You're right.
But it was certainly a catalyst for everything that led to
the route.
to
Yes, like
1999 and goodbye United States.
correct. That's what they call the route to sovereignty.
Yeah.
Well, they want the special folk. I mean, you can do it on any of the history from 1965 through 1999, but they want a special focus. This is interesting. From 1964, that riot, through 1989, which is the Robles-Johnson Treaty, which we will talk about it with David. I don't want to get into it because I know David knows a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, sure.
And plus, I'm a little political on that, and I don't want to have a political statement versus a historical statement.
Right.
Because Willie, I'm in the middle. I was born and raised in the Canal Zone, but my family is, so I've always been in that center position. So, anyways, the Robles-Johnson treaties of 1964 through the end of the military dictatorship, which was 1989, aka the invasion. So,
Yeah.
I'm really, really interested to see who wins this, and I'm hoping it's a young person, and I'm hoping it's somebody from the Canal Zone. Somebody like that we grew up with or know or etc. that can join this and participate and hopefully win it. Because the person who wins it, they're going to have funding first. Wait, hold on. They're going to have funding first from the museum and technical support, right? And it's going to be good to see. Because how nationalism is old now, right? Nationalism, the one that we all grew up with, nobody believes in that anymore. Right. So in my opinion, it'll be great to see what the new minds think of nationalism. Because that's what it's going to be, right? Nationalism, right? The road to sovereignty. So it'll be good to see. Yeah, it'll be good to see which tilt it takes. If it's more, because we're a pro-U.S. show. If it's a more pro-U.S. brotherhood, that yes, those were years that the U.S. was more of a brother than an adversary. It's what I'm really hoping that the new minds go in that direction, because at the end of the day, we are brothers. And we will always be brothers. And there's nobody in the Canal Zone that has any ill feeling towards Panama that I know of. And if they did,
and if you do, come on, that's just really being short-sighted. It is,
Yeah, I think every Zonian will let them know that. Yeah,
it is. I mean, we were privileged to grow up down there, and whatever happened historically, I mean, the U.S. certainly enabled Panama to become a country. There's no arguing that at all, but it still was a country. And they, in turn, gave us a lease of a canal for 100 years. It was negotiated to give back after that, and that's just the way it ended. Are we happy about it? No, of course we're not. Was it a bad thing? Well, if you're Panamanian, probably not, right? If you're American, in a Zonian, well, yeah. It is what it is, but
it was an end game for us. That's why, because it was an end game for us.
So but and I think for you and I, Ricky, having Panamanian roots, it's maybe we look at it a little bit differently. But nonetheless, I was very sad when the Canal Zone ended. I still look back and go, God, I wish we had the Canal Zone.
Me too, man. All the time. What if?
Of course we do. It was a wonderful thing. But anyway, and by the way, there's Andrew Eftimitis from Bogota, Colombia, saying hello.
I love him, our little brother. Guys, this. If you're going to get involved with this, December 12th is the deadline to get your
there you go. A little over a month left, guys.
Yeah, and if you win it, they will exhibit your art from May through December 2025.
There you go.
7 months. So that's all. Let's hope one of our guys wins that. But whoever wins it, I'll follow up on it, Willie, and inform us on how that's going because I really want to see,
Yeah.
which direction this goes.
Sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, guys, that's what we have for my segment.
Arbochincha. Okay, so we're moving right along. We're a little bit behind schedule, but that's okay. We're chugging along here. We've got some other. We're going to try and move through them really fast here. So again, no delay here, Ricky. Why don't you just segue right into your birthdays because we have quite
Our
a
birthdays,
long list.
right
of
on.
them.
Yes, listen, this is truly our favorite part. We get a lot of great thank yous. A lot of people are
Mhm.
grateful for us mentioning it. So we are actually growing our birthday list. So bear with us because
Yeah,
it's very
a long one.
important that we say happy birthday to
Some
everybody.
big names
And
on this one though.
yeah, and really, like you and I were talking earlier, anybody that we miss, you guys just need to come out of hiding because we're going to
Yeah,
great
for sure.
lengths to find out everybody's birthday. So
Yeah.
stop hiding and let us know when your birthdays are coming
Yep,
up.
yep,
All right,
definitely.
well, let's start with my 81s that I so much love. So we'll start with Jerry Luttrell. Happy birthday, Jerry! He was a great Bobble Bulldog, and he's a airline captain. He also was in the military, with his little brother and pilot as well. Connie Miskoski, happy birthday to her. She's an attorney now out of Gamboa. We also have Paul Velasquez, straight out of Homestead.
Nice.
When I was a senior, every time a new student would come, they would come
Right.
get me for me to take them through the classes and the school and
Okay.
things like that. That's in my 11th grade year. And that's how I met a lot of these stateside that would come down. I don't know why they chose me, but I was one of the ones that had walk everybody around. I think Kelly Morris, too, if it was the girls. Well,
Right
he was
on.
from Homestead, not a Zonian, but still. Paul Velasquez, I remember you. Happy birthday to you. And Greg Watts, another very good friend. He has a bar in Florida down there by the Space Coast area.
Oh,
He's
right
a
on.
great bass player. Yeah. Greg Watts, happy birthday to you. And this one, especially, it's like a correction. I made a mistake last week. Gwen Porter, I mistaked her for somebody else, for Gwen Knox. So, Gwen, I apologize for that. Your birthday was yesterday. So, happy birthday, Gwen.
Yeah, happy birthday.
And I hope you had a great birthday. Let me tell you, Gwen, a couple of 81s called me. Texted me, DM'd me, sorry, to correct that Gwen was not the one that I was talking about. So, Gwen Porter, happy birthday to you. So that's what we have for my class. Now, for the Canal Zone
Now for the
Society,
rest of the people left over.
for the
There
rest
you
of the
go.
society, sorry guys, but it's a thing.
For the second class citizens.
Leslie Hoyle, yes, happy
Okay.
birthday, Tony Diaz,
Yep.
Sue Falk, the beautiful Debbie Earhart, one of the
Yes.
prettiest redheads you'll ever know.
Class of 86.
She's 86, right?
Yeah,
No
she's one of
wonder.
my
Yeah.
classmates.
Good friends
Yeah.
with Roby. Yes.
Yep.
Actress Destafino. Wasn't he a Babel ran with you?
DeStefano, he lived across the street from you guys.
No, right. Destafino.
Yeah. Yeah, his mom
Destafino.
was our Cub Scout leader. We used to do our Cub Scouts right there downstairs, man. Yeah, that was cool.
Jerry Linden.
Wow.
K-Boy Richie, which I had mentioned earlier.
Yep.
We're going to get into some cool coaches. Coach Fred Bales has a
Yes,
birthday, as well as
happy birthday, Coach.
Bobby O'Connor. Not Bobby, Bobby's the son. Coach Bob O'Connor. Great
Happy birthday, Coach.
Yeah, and he also celebrates a birthday. I don't know if the same day with his son Roger O'Connor.
It's a couple of days apart, but they're right next to each other. Yeah, he's coming up here on the list as well.
Roger, happy birthday to you.
Yep.
A longtime neighbor of mine. Happy birthday, Paul Melton.
Mm-hmm.
Heather Erickson, happy birthday.
Yep.
Arnold Talbot, I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Tammy Ferguson, the great friend of my little sister, Xenia Neely Morris.
Right. Yeah. Her married name is Morris. We on the show here, we typically refer to people by the maiden names because if you knew somebody in high school, but you necessarily weren't close friends or you didn't stay in touch with them, if you throw the married name out, they don't know who you're talking about, but we all know everybody by their maiden name. So it's never made to, no disrespect to your married name and to your
the
spouse.
husbands. Yeah.
Or wives, either way, but the whole,
correct,
I guess it wouldn't be wise.
correct.
But we just like to go with the maiden name so that everybody remembers who we're talking about.
So Xenia Neely, Cheryl Wicks, happy birthday. Rusty Meisner, a very good Balboa Ram. La Boca Kid. Rick Larkin, very good ball player. I remember him. He's a little younger, but he's a good ball player. Remember? And last but not least, this last name reminds me of Cristobal High School, Elias Stokes.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, happy
Absolutely.
birthday to all you guys.
Yeah. And again, guys, if we miss you, like Ricky said, put yourself out there. Let us know, help send us a message and go, hey, my birthday's next week. We're not going to be like, ooh, you get mentioned. No, please do. Send them out to us. We definitely want to mention everybody. But here's our Panama happy birthday celebration to you guys. Thank you, Dave Dahlstrom, for that. That's awesome music. I mean, you can't have a better birthday song for a Panama and a Canal Zone show than the Murga playing a happy birthday tune. So that's awesome. Good stuff there. So listen, we're not going to go through our Made in Panama segment today. I apologize, but we have been running a little bit long, and we've got some gentlemen waiting, and they've been very patient to wait for us. So we are going to move right along with that. But I did have some cool stuff, and maybe I'll throw it out next week anyway, although it was Halloween, related. Had a cool story about the Tule Vieja. We've all heard about Tule Vieja, and so I just wanted to kind of go over the history of that and whatnot. But like I said, we're going to keep moving things along because, we've got some guests that are waiting that are going to jump on here in just a couple of minutes. We got to take our mid show break here, and then we're going to bring back the Albrecht Jets folks. But in the meantime, since we have been talking a lot about history of Panama, and we are talking about this month is what's it called, the Fiestas Patrias, right? Which is basically the Independence Month for Panama, because there was a series of independence episodes with Panama, so it's not just one day they celebrate. So it kind of is almost a month-long thing. But with that being said, and by the way, hi Sheila, great seeing you again on the show. Love having Sheila on. She chimes in every week when she joins us. We love having you guys all engage and chat with us. But we're gonna put on our Shorty and Slim tune, and again, because we're in the historical mode, he's got this recent tune here about Panama. So here you go, guys. Enjoy this, and we'll be right back.
Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad. Ay, mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important to know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. Pedro Arias Davila received from the King of España official doctrine for the fealty to be named Panama City, Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, bella mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. A fishing village it was formerly, right upon the coast of the sea. Cathedral tower built up toward the sky. You can hear that bell toll far and wide. At this time within the nation, there was a very small population. Only 100 people or so. First European settlement on Pacific coast. Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. The Camino Real, it paved the way, and in this isthmus it had to stay all the way to Nombre de Dios. If you go now, you can hear them ghosts. Whoa. Riches came up out of Peru. Many ships and the pirates knew all the pearls, silver and gold. Panama City was Pacific stronghold. Then they crossed Panama by mule. Tropical diseases was very cruel. Finally arrived to Atlantic coast, departing for Spain from Nombre de Dios. Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important you know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important to know this date. we celebrate Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, bella mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama, Panama City, Panama City. Oh, welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama.
All right. Yes.
All right.
Indeed. That was pretty cool, huh? That's our own. We can almost call them our house band, right? That's Shorty and Slim, but they're Panama's house band. They're certainly not our house band. They're an awesome music. They play very much Zonian music, very Panama themed and whatnot. And they're always very gracious. And they've told us, listen, play any of our songs you want on there. So so YouTube and Facebook, anybody else, forget about the copyright violations because we have permission from the owners of the song. So, but nonetheless, as you guys see on our screen here, we have some guests joining us from the Albrook Jets, from the original Albrook Jets team. Okay, we have Jim Kopsky and Bill Breeden joining us. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Happy Hour at the Balboa Yacht Club. Love having you guys on here.
Cheers.
Yeah, salute indeed. Salute to everybody. So, we've been talking about, a lot of our shows, especially early on, as we were, trying to gain some traction. We were trying to get some themes that people could relate to, and the Balboa Rams was a big theme for us. And I was working on a Rams reunion program for the Pan Canal Society reunion in June. So we featured them a lot, and a lot of people are like, well, hey, what about the rest of the teams out there? And we had the good fortune of meeting Jim and talking to Bob a couple of times online, and they have some great stories. Bob was going to try and join us. There was some technical difficulties. Hopefully down the road we can get him on because he helped actually start this Albrook Jets team, and as I said earlier, they're the first team to beat the Balboa Rams and knock them off that championship perch. So again, guys, welcome to the show. Love having you guys on. Give us a little introduction of your Zonian history and where you got started and whatnot, and we'll go from there. Jim, tell us your story here.
Well, we landed in Panama in August of 1969, and Dad was originally assigned to Howard Air Force Base as a weatherman. He held out. He wanted to live on Albrook. Seemed to be more of his likings.
Right.
And I'm glad he did. But we had 5 children, so there wasn't no immediate housing for 5 kids. So we spent about 9 months via España.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, we spent about 9 months in Panama, actually learning. Got our feet wet, learned how to say parada.
Right. Yeah.
That was the first word I learned because we were taking, we were staying after school at Los Rios. I was in 6th grade, and we were playing that, after school activities, and we had to take the Canal Zone buses to the hub and get on a Chiva for a nickel.
Nice.
And get ready to say parada.
Talk about immersing yourself in the culture from day one.
I my mom and dad sometimes.
Hello.
Yes,
hey, Joe, how are you, man? Joe just joined us. Joe Solis, can you hear us, Joe? Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, hey, Derek Nelson's waiting in the link too. I think he's waiting on a link, Willie.
It's in the chat. I'll throw it in there again. I'll resend it.
He sent it to his. He said send it to his cell phone. I've been on the phone with him.
Okay. Yeah, and let Joe know he's on the air right now. He doesn't realize it, but
I talked to him earlier. He's a great football player, but he's not real good with technology.
Right on. Well, Joe, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're on the air. We can see you, or the top of your head at least. There you go. Can you hear us, Joe? Let's see. His mic looks like it's on. So.
Hey, Dad, I got my dad on the phone. I might call Joe and just
speakers maybe off.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, maybe for sure. But in the meantime, while they figure that, and Jim, I don't know if you want to try and get your dad on or whatnot.
Yeah,
or Derek.
my dad. I'm on the phone with my dad right now, and he's Dad. Are you have the same issues you did last night?
So we've got a couple of those going on. But Billy, tell us about you, because Billy is, I would call him the first Little League football free agent in the Canal Zone. Okay, because Billy made the rounds. Okay, he played for the Clayton Cowboys, then he went to the Auburn Jets, and then he went to the Balboa Rams. So this guy made the rounds. I don't know if they were getting paid or what the deal was, but Billy, welcome to the show, and tell us your story, man.
Yeah, tell us your story, because you were a Balboa kid. You were Barnaby Street. As Balboa as you get.
I eventually got my way over there. My dad got transferred down to Panama in 1968. And a couple months after he got there, my mom drove us from San Antonio because we were stationed at Lackland. I think over to Charleston, and my mom was not a driver. So my mom, with 3 kids in the car, driving across country, someone who wasn't used to having to drive a car anywhere. And then we flew down and lived on Albrook. We were in the Chapel area, and we were on the ground floors because there was so much rain was all parking, and then we were 2 stories up. I think it was like 32 stairs to get up to our apartment. And my mom used to call it peanut heaven. She was so pissed the first year that we were down there. By the time it was all over, she loved it. But my dad was in the Air Force Band. He was the first sergeant of the Air Force Band, and we were stationed in Albrook for 5 years. And kind of what you said earlier. The first year I decided to play football. God knows I was either 10 or 11. I can't remember. And Albrook didn't have the team yet, and so my mother drove me over to Clayton, to practice every day. And I don't know whether she went and got a coffee and picked me back up, or if I got a ride back from somebody. But I ended up getting back home all the time. And then the next year they did the expansion and played for Albrook, and with Joey and Jimmy and a bunch of other guys, and we had a great team and a fun time. And then my dad retired in I guess it was 70, or I guess the summer of 73. After 27 years in the Air Force, and he went to work for the Panama Canal Commission.
Oh, very good.
And we moved to Barnaby Street. Lived in Barnaby Street. So
all right. Well, where on Barnaby Street?
We're right on the corner of Las Cruces and Barnaby, like 2 houses from where Tommy Vasquez lived.
Okay.
You come down Barnaby, you take the first right up.
Yeah, Joey, you're on the screen. We saw you.
We're gonna get all these talented computer science guys on.
Yes, exactly. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be user friendly. And
I remember clicking on the link.
Right.
We had
I lived in Barnaby Street also. I lived on the last house right before the elementary school.
Yeah,
basic elementary school is on the left side.
So where Bill Gibson lived, down, because he lived down at the other end of that street.
Okay. Our upstairs neighbor was Johnny Carlisle.
Okay. Yeah. Coach Gibson was down at the end of the street before he passed away in my senior year, right after the football season.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right. They won the championship, actually.
Yeah, he was only 36 when he died.
Wow, so sad. Wow. Well, you got one of your fellow Albrook Jets on the chat there, Bruce Bateman, saying hello to the OGs there. Yeah,
Bruce is a good guy. He was a good baseball player too.
Right on, right. And he's got that Zonian Life page also. So guys, make sure you check it out. Everybody from Albrook, if you're watching, zonianlife.com, go check them out. They've got some great Zonian memorabilia there. You see Jim's wearing that Albrook Jets shirt. That's from that Zonian Life website. It's some really cool stuff there. So definitely reach out to them. There's Joe. Let's see if we can get him on this time. Let's see, Joe, can you hear us? Blink once. Smile, wave, something. Take a drink.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, Jim, I muted because of we could hear him. So Willie, can you help unmute him?
He's not muted. Let me send him a note and tell him to turn his I'll just create a banner for him real quick and here everybody get to see it as well. Check your volume. In the meantime, but keep going, guys.
Yeah. So anyhow,
What I remember of the 73, right? The 73 was your first year, or 72 for the Auburn Jets?
when I was there the first season for the expansion, and that was it. So that was probably 72.
72, right? Okay,
Yeah,
correct. Because that was the year that
73
Kiwani coach also came in. So
yeah, 73 Balboa.
the expansion teams were Albrook and Kiwanis that year,
Yeah, exactly.
which brought the league to 16s.
Yeah,
Because the original 4 were Clayton, Howard, Balboa, and Cristobal.
and I think did we play each team twice, once on each of our home fields? I think is that what we did?
73 was my first year, actually, and I don't remember. Truly, I don't remember if we played everybody twice.
Interesting.
It seems
I
like we played them once on each, on our field, and then which was Beam Stadium.
We're gonna have Jim reach out to his dad because his dad will tell us all that. Amazing. Guy's 94 years old and he knows more than all of us combined. It's incredible. This guy's got an amazing memory.
Very dare of the Albrook team.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was funny because speaking of that, at the reunion, at the Balboa Rams reunion, we got to meet Coach Downing from Cristobal.
Yeah.
Same thing, sharp as a tack. Unbelievable the things that he knew. Is just a fantastic conversation. What a nice guy. Joe, can you hear us?
And he was a championship coach too. Coach, the guy from the other side.
Let me put this up for Joe. Check your volume, Joe. Okay, so we can't hear you now.
He needs his speaker's not up, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, his mic or his speaker, I don't think are working. And then Jim's got a phone there by the computer there.
Albrook Jets. Albrook.
So, all right. So while we get this stuff figured out, so you guys got started the first year. What was that like, Jim? And you could probably talk about that some since your dad was instrumental in this. But how do you go about getting started? Did Jerry Dare come to you guys, or did your dad say, "Hey, let's put a team together in Albrook"? How did that work out?
That was between my dad, definitely between my dad and Jerry Dare, and probably the other previous coaches, especially with the Clayton Cowboys, because the Clayton Cowboys were going to be affected definitely because a lot of the players that played for the Cowboys were from Albrook. So there definitely was some correspondence going on, and there must have been a surplus of kids. A big surplus of kids that wanted to play football, and there just wasn't. There had to be an expansion team,
right? For
sure. So Albrook was definitely probably the easiest solution.
Okay, certainly.
So that's how we got started. Sadly, my dad was working, behind the scenes with everybody.
Sure.
And being that as young as I had no idea. At that age, all you were
just a kid playing ball.
He just wanted to play ball.
Yeah,
and didn't really give much thought. We just thought that was cool. We were going to be playing right at home.
Sure. And now, Billy,
Beam Stadium.
Yeah, and Billy, you were on the Clayton Cowboys prior to that. How many of your teammates were from Albrook?
I don't recall, but I don't think it was a big number. I think most of them were the Army kids from Clayton because the parents didn't want to drive the 20 minutes to get to Clayton.
Right. And Clayton was a big base anyway, so it makes sense if they had a lot of players.
But yeah, I think we had more than enough kids. In fact, we fielded the Pee Wee team as well as the Little League team. Because I remember they had the two teams there the first year. So
there was actually 3 divisions back then. There was the heavyweights, the lightweights, and then the peewees.
The middeweight. No, it was lightweights, middleweights, and heavyweights.
Yeah, then it became heavy, middle, light. But
first, back then I just remember the 2.
Yeah.
But that didn't be But no, I think. Jim, you might remember this. Our coach was Coach Beecham, wasn't it? Wasn't that his name?
Yeah, Coach Beecham was with the coach the Jets, but he was okay. I've got my dad on. Hey, Dad, they got a question for you. They want to know how they turn
Who's throwing out a light?
volume down on the computer, Dad. Turn turn, turn
We
down
got
the.
Larry
They got a
Cicero, one of your
question for
guys'
you.
competitors, on saying hello.
Yeah, there's
Turn the
Larry
volume down on
Balboa
the
Ram, Larry
They
Cicero
want
saying hello.
a question for you.
Probably saying, you guys never beat me.
And look, and there's Bruce responding to you, Billy.
Turn down that background,
He's on
Dad.
the chat there. Thank you.
Yeah,
Great to
yeah.
see you, bud. Right
You
on.
got too much noise in the background.
The early Jet years and the unis still look good. Yeah, you guys did. You know that green was a good color. I always liked that. Right? It was you guys had a sharp looking
Turn
jersey
down
there.
the
And
volume.
Willie, like you mentioned, the
Turn
Albrook
down the
Jets were
volume on
not
the
just a
computer.
military team. They also had a lot of Zonian,
Yeah,
civilian Zonians on that team, because they were able to choose from Diablo and Los Rios. And I believe
correct.
Gamboa too. I think they also had Gamboa kids.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because Sergio Nolte played a little later on. He played when I was playing, and he was from Gamboa. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit here because he had a great story. On Facebook that he posted about my dad, because my dad was a player agent and my dad would be the one doing the weigh-ins, and it was a great story. It was very touching, and I sent it to my dad. I told him you're gonna put a smile on my dad's face when he reads it, man. It was really cool.
Corby Fearon played for the Jets. So did the Whitlocks. So did the Sight.
Yeah, Johnny McGee.
They had the Albrook. Albrook had the Gamboa kids.
I remember the weigh-ins at the beginning of the season. You always had the guys that were borderline. I don't remember it was 150 or 155 was
Right.
I think actually it was like 140. Actually, I think it was like way down there.
they were weighed 140. But the kids that were on the borderline to be in the sweatsuits, to be drinking, taking water pills,
and running around the field. Yeah.
And it was, my dad has told me so many times and in fact I think it was with Clayton one time where I mean these guys just absolutely had a conniption because they kept trying to get this guy. Let me go ahead and mute him real quick.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, Willie.
Yeah,
my dad he finally got the background noise turned down. And
awesome.
Ask him that question again.
Hey, Bob, how you doing? Good to hear from you again.
Nice to see you.
Yep, likewise. So, or nice to hear you at least. But no, we were just curious how the Albrook Jets came about. Was it the league that approached you to say, hey, can you start a team, or did you approach them and say, hey, I want to start a team in Albrook? How did that work out?
Wait a minute.
Turn down the noise. Yeah, we can hear you, but you got background.
He's got to mute and turn the volume on his computer off.
Yeah, just turn the volume down on the computer, please.
Or you know what, Jim, ask him to just walk away from the computer for a bit, and then when we get done, he can go back to it. He's watching the show.
Yeah, walk away from can you walk away from the computer for a minute? Okay, here it is. Here, we're gonna try it again.
Yeah, we're not NBC here. We're close to, but we're not NBC. So
yeah.
So Bob, we were just curious how the Albrook Jets came about, how that whole decision was made, how you were involved in that.
So Jerry got together and decided, mostly Jerry wanted to expand the league to 16 because Panama, the Kiwanis team from Panama was coming in, and he thought that Albrook. Fort Clayton had too many players from Albrook, and so Jerry Dare and I decided that Albrook would have a team, and that we would be able to draw from Gamboa, Las Rios, Corundu, because we had the Parthenays, Jimmy Partheny, and this brother, I forget what his name was.
Mark.
Some of the best players for Fort Clayton were the starting team for Fort Clayton. So Albrook had Derek Nelson, Joey Salinas, Billy Gonzalez, and who else? Billy Brayton, and just a number of other guys. And so I was able to draw from Eden Amador, and if you had this piece of the hand club, we had a couple of players.
Well, well, now, Bob, rumor has it that Amador and Gamboa was part of the Ray Maston trade. That we got Ray Maston for the Balboa Rams, and you guys got Amador and Gamboa as part of your territory. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, one of the things was that the coach at Fort was a major from the Army at Amador, and I got him to coach Ballroom's heavyweight team.
Okay.
And I forgot who the coach of the middleweight team, but Chuck Dillon coached the little guys. And they also went undefeated. They were 10-0, heavyweights were 10-0, but the middleweight team lost 2 games to Balboa.
Okay. Yeah, so when you guys came in, I mean, it didn't take long at all for you guys to suddenly be competitive. How long was it before you guys were taking down the Balboa Rams, the mighty Balboa Rams?
How long did it take?
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks.
Right on.
2 weeks of training or whatever you want to coach. We do pretty darn well that
Some noise here. But and Joe, can you hear us?
We can hear you, Joe.
Yeah, we can hear you, Joe. Okay.
He's having trouble with hearing us.
Yeah.
You know, the first game against the Rams.
Leave this door open. That's fine.
The first.
I can see everybody, but I can't talk. I
We
can't
can
talk
hear
to
you.
it. I can't hear him.
Ricky, type a banner in there for him and tell him that we can hear him.
I don't know what's going
Sign
on.
language. I'm doing sign language. I don't know sign language, but maybe he'll understand me. Hold on. Let me put a banner in there real quick. You got it, Ricky? Or you want me to throw it in there?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Billy. Go back first time you played the Rams.
Just hold up a sign.
That's a good idea.
Well, no, the first time we played the Ram was at Beam Stadium, and Joey, my recollection, kicked the winning field goal, which I think was the first time a field goal had ever been kicked in a Little League game down there.
Wow, isn't that interesting?
And won the game. Yeah, that was like, you know, right at the end of the game, and it was, you know, for a 12, 13-year-old kid, I think it was a pretty good distance. You know, 30 yards or something. But
nice, very nice.
But that was how the game was won that first game.
Right. And I imagine the Rams were probably quite shocked. They're like, "Wait, what is this? We're losing a game."
Oh, yeah, they hadn't lost like in a couple of years.
You know what? They were. My recollection was they were quite gracious. You know, they weren't.
Right on.
You know, they weren't pissed off. Everybody shook hands. It was a great game. Went down to the last minute, and was all good fun. But we felt pretty good about ourselves.
I bet. Yeah, you should. Heck yeah. Anytime you dethrone a champion, you're going to feel good about it for sure.
Well, who was your quarterback? Who was the winning quarterback?
Mike Nazarenko for us.
Oh, Mike, of course.
Well,
Mike.
we had, like I told you last night, Bob Hayes was our quarterback originally at Clayton Cowboys.
Correct.
He was our Sonny Jurgensen. And he got traded to the Jets. He started out as a starting quarterback for the Jets, and he got injured. And Mike Nazarenko had a great arm, and that's when we started the Jets. The air game with Mike. Until then it was mostly a running game. You know, we had Jose Centron was our main running back, and when Mike Nazarenko come aboard, and he'd been practicing with Tim Connors, you know, throwing that football through that tire.
We all remember that tire
on the rope. On the rope. I saw it every time I went outside the front gate in Albert.
Yeah, knowing that guy was throwing that ball through there.
But Derek Nelson was tickled to death because he had a quarterback and he could throw that. He threw just like Joe Namath, you know.
Nice. Derek was tall.
Yeah,
and had great hands.
And Billy Gonzalez. We had Billy Gonzalez too. That was another threat.
Yeah.
And we had a great tight end, Childress. So I mean, sadly, for the injury, Mike Nazarico, because he had an awesome year. And Derek Nelson used to tell me, because I was playing center, because I didn't have the luxury to see what was going on behind me. But
Right.
our famous play was a pitch out to Jose Cintron, out to the left or to the right, and Mike Nazarico would be under center, and he just take a step back, and he could throw that. He pitched that ball underhand right down the line before anybody could. It would just and Derek said, I would just stand and watch. Derek was a wide. He was supposed to be blocking, but he was just in awe of that pitch.
He got caught ball watching.
To Jose, and just watch Jose run about 30 or 40 yards.
We were talking about the weigh-ins earlier. Jose was one of
Yeah.
those guys that was in the sweatsuit running around trying to get underweight.
Right.
I think by the time we played a game, he was 10, 15 pounds heavier.
Well, and absolutely.
right.
And going back to what I was saying earlier, my dad, when he was player agent, one time somebody on the Cowboys was not making the weight, and my dad would always give people breaks. In fact, that's what Sergio Nolte, who played with you guys later on in the early 80s, one year he didn't play at all because he would not make weight for any of the games. But what he said, he goes, I remember your dad, we would weigh in first, and then your dad would say, hey, if we'll go through the lightweights and all the other teams. Then when we're done, come back. And if you make the weight, great, you can play. So he says, he gave you every opportunity. But with this guy on Clayton, he kept trying and trying. And when he finally got on the scale, they had to help him to get on the scale.
Mm.
And my dad said, he made the weight. My dad said, sorry, he can't play. Which, of course, they're like, you made him do all this and that. And I can understand where they're coming from, but my dad was responsible for the safety of the kids. And
I
if
think
you
that
can't
was Armand Benson. That was Armand Benson from my age group.
in Clayton, yes,
From Clayton.
and
from
he
Clayton.
was a beast,
A monster. He was a beast.
was.
Yeah.
When we were playing, you only had to weigh in at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, no, this was every Friday night you had to wait.
Wow. Before the game, you had to weigh in. That day,
Every
that
Friday.
No, that's Saturday day, wasn't it? Yeah, Saturday before the game.
Well, sometimes it was. You're right. It was Saturdays. We would do it on Friday nights, like when we were traveling to Cristobal or something. They would weigh us in the night before, and then you guys had some Friday night games on occasion. You guys would play a game. So my dad was out doing weigh-ins on Friday nights, but on that was a Saturday one, which of course you wouldn't have time to recoup. You couldn't then load up on food and fluids and the next day play.
Right.
This was an hour or two later you're going to play, and my dad's like, no, you can't do that. There's no way this is safe for you. So it was a shitty job to have, but at the same time, unfortunately, some people it's all about winning, and in fact, it's a funny story. And if Coach Cotton, if you're listening, hopefully you get a kick out of this. But my dad and Coach Cotton were both detectives, and they sat across from each other in the office there. And my brother always struggled with making the weights. In fact, I think he only played lightweights either just 1 or maybe 2 years, and then he had to play heavyweights. But I remember at one point, Coach Cotton tells my dad, he goes, "Hey, Ron, I want to talk to you about getting Scott on diuretics." My dad's like, "No, man, he's a kid, man." But it was, football was big then. That was, we're getting ready to play the Kiwanis. Heck yeah, we need all our big players there and whatnot. But yeah, that was. I always crack up about that, that because hell, I could have weighed with my pads on, man. That would never be a problem for me. I could have the whole full pads, helmet, and everything, and I would have made the weight every time. That was never an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt for the people that had to do that because I got to imagine it's a miserable game for you. If you got to be tired, no matter how good you are, you still got to be tired. It can't be that enjoyable.
Turn it down, man.
Bill, you must have been close a couple of times because I remember you were a big guy.
But see, we only had to weigh in before the season started.
Oh,
right.
You said
so then you're good to go.
Okay, you're right.
I'm sure by the time the season was over, especially the year with the Rams, I'm sure I was overweight.
Sure. Didn't matter as long as you were eligible at week 1.
Yeah. And the weigh-in was like I don't remember, a week before the season started or something like that. And I remember doing it. There was a big production down at I remember the one at Balboa.
Right.
Being out on the field and stuff. And
yeah.
maybe where everybody weighed in. I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, and each age group had their different weight.
Right.
The 11-year-olds were, which I mean, other than like I said, my brother was one of the few that would at 11 years old would struggle with that. But that was interesting. Now, so you guys came in at the same time as Kiwanis and Howard, then, right? So it was Clayton, Balboa, and Cristobal. I assume were the original three.
No, Howard was already part of the. No, Howard was already one of the four
Yeah, I think
originals.
Howard was there before us.
Oh, so then they expanded with two more, not three.
Two
It
more,
wasn't 3 and 3; it was 4, and then they added 2.
Correct.
Okay, so now when you guys played Kiwanis, did you guys play them in Panama?
Never paid in Panama, I don't think.
Okay, because we didn't either. But I think
I don't think they had any place to play.
The first year they did. The first year they did. Right across from the University of Panama, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
Because I went to the very first football game I ever went to. My cousin had friends that played for the Kiwani Coast, and he took me to go watch that game. I think they lost like 82-0. But yeah, they had a field in Panama the first year, and I think after that they played at Albrook.
Okay.
Or Balboa, one of the two.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't remember playing them anywhere other than in Balboa, but that
Yeah, Balboa might have been their home stadium too.
Right. Okay. Right on. And then
we can ask
John
them when we
Houston's
have
mentioning
fun
it. Tom Vasquez would make the first weigh-in and then play. Yeah. That listen to people, like I said, that struggled for a weight. If you got weighed in on a Saturday and you had a good game, man, more power to you, because these guys, it wasn't just running. Hell, they put you in a rubber suit or something to make you sweat. I mean, the idea
rubber suit, plastic.
Yeah. So
plastic suits. Yeah, I remember those. Oh, I never
then,
had to wear them, but I remember the guys that did.
Yeah, my brother, like I said, he poor thing, and at that age, they make you strip down and everything, even the jock strap, take it all off, man. That eighth of a pound, whatever it is, man.
Down to the jock strap. That's what it was. Too.
Yeah, you got to make that weight. So, what would you say was what you guys consider your toughest game or your toughest memory as an Albrook Jet?
I remember we just about lost to the Clayton Cowboys. Matter of fact, we won on a field goal by Joe Salinas. It was a wet night. I was playing center, and of course, they remind me. We just talked about this not too long ago, but Derek and myself, who were pretty close friends, and we give Joey a hard time. Say, hey, and Billy might remember this. We said, hey, you don't need to miss this one.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure, but don't miss it.
Yeah, of course.
And he said when I hiked Billy Gonzalez, I think was the holder, and him and of course Joey and Billy are best of friends too.
Right.
And he said that ball kind of skidded to Billy. That wet ball slid into Billy's hands, and he got it up just in time. And it wasn't pretty.
But
it went through.
It wasn't style either. It was straight on kicking, I think, wasn't it?
What's that?
I don't think Joey kicks soccer.
Yeah, Joey. Yeah, he was our
toe kicker.
Yeah, toe kicker.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That's what everybody did back in then. Because I remember Robert Wood was.
All right, so trivia, a little NFL trivia here. So if we're talking football, who was the last toe kicker in the NFL?
Dempsey. No, kidding.
No.
He didn't even have a toe.
Say Dempsey.
No, it was somebody after that.
And Dempsey only had half a foot.
Yeah, half a foot. He didn't even have toes.
Right? Yeah. Even if he tried, he couldn't kick with his toe. No, but there was somebody, he played for the Redskins.
Oh.
Give it to me.
Mark Mosley.
Okay, that's a good one.
That was the last toe kicker in the NFL. Cool. And that was funny because I remember as a young kid when that was first becoming popular, and exactly as you said, Billy, that's how they were referred to it. And here's one of those soccer style kickers. That was like a novelty. Now you see someone toe kicking, you're like, what the hell are you doing, man? You know?
Yeah, the Miami had what's his name? The
guy, what was it? Gay guy. Oh my God, his name
started
is
with
there.
a Y, didn't it?
Yeah.
Your Premian?
Yeah, he got blued in the Super Bowl for when they played the Redskins.
He tried to throw a pass.
Yeah. He did a little bit of everything.
Right,
that was an ugly one too, wasn't it? That was more like a push of the ball. I don't really think you can call that a pass because I don't think there was any rotation off the threads on that. It was more like
it was like a spin.
Yeah, it sure was, man.
George Blanda, that's another good one because he was also
another
a
one.
kicker. Yeah.
Listen, George Blanda played in the NFL till his 40s. I think he was 42 when
Oakland
he
Raider.
started playing, man. Yeah,
Oakland Raider,
sure
yeah.
was.
And
Sure was.
he started out as a quarterback.
Yeah,
Yep,
sure
yep,
did.
sure
Sure
was.
did. So now let me ask you, you guys, so you started off your expansion, right? And so some of you guys had out like you, Billy, were in Clayton. That first game against Clayton, who won?
We won. We were undefeated that season.
Nice. So that must have been an extra kind of, for Clayton, man. Damn, these are the guys that were on our team. Now they leave and go start a new team, and they come and beat us.
But I mean, you knew them on the. I mean, yeah, you're 11, 12 years old, so your friends are the next guy you see and you run into are your neighbors.
Right.
The guys in Clayton, while we're on the team, they the Jims and the Joey Salinases and Ray Maston, all Joey and Ray Maston lived across a little park together. Jim lived at the back gate. I was up at the chapel area by Joey and Ray, which was probably a 3 or 4 minute walk from my house.
Right.
And those are the guys that would run around and get in trouble with. When we weren't playing football.
Yeah, of course. Well, we heard about that whole Albrecht. Again, the difference between what we saw as civilians in Balboa and all these areas there. We did go on base, but we didn't hang out and live on the bases like you guys. So the first time that you guys told me that there was a rivalry between the people in the flats, was it right, and the back gate or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm like, really? There's such a thing?
Yeah, so there were like 3 areas at Albrecht. It was the back gate, the chapel area, and the flats, right? I mean,
there was. Everybody hung out. Everybody had their home base. Like the bus stop is where we hung out at.
That was headquarters for your gang.
Yeah, everybody hung out. The girls,
gang
the
HQ,
guys, all the cheerleaders. They all hung out at the bus stop.
That's funny. I did see
play like mud football against each other because in Balboa that was a big thing. Every neighborhood had a mud football team.
Oh yeah, we played against each other, and we don't. We had the most dangerous football field. It was a triangle, and the end zone was how big those gutters were, other ditches. We had that was our end zone.
And we had a big field, big park in front of our houses between where Joey and those guys lived and where we lived. You had to cross. What was the name of the main street that came through?
Was it Canfield?
Canfield.
Yeah.
Canfield Avenue. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to cross Canfield Avenue to get over to where we were at, and we had this gigantic park with a monster tree in the center of it, and we would all couldn't wait for it to rain so we could go out and play football. I can't believe we never broke legs and stuff.
Right?
Well,
that's what's buffing us up, though. I think that's why even, other than that first year when you had those teams coming down from the States, or we had the teams come from here going up to the States, I think that's why we played so well because, listen, we grew up a more independent, tougher lifestyle in the zone. And I really think that I have said this many times on this show before. When I was telling you when I was living in Barnaby Street, on weekends we'd go up behind the Balboa Elementary up in the jungle there. Well, I moved from Barnaby Street to Amador Road when I was in first grade. So when I look back at that, I think, okay, dude, you were 5 and 6 years old going up into the jungles with your friends, for hours, not a care. And so that's the way life was then. I mean, I remember calling my dad one day when I cut my finger. I go, hey, Dad, I cut my finger. He goes, is it bad? I was like, yeah, I think I'll need a stitch or two. He goes, all right, I'll be right there. No big deal. It was part of the gig, man.
It was what I was saying earlier. I hurt myself twice. Once my senior year of football, and my parents were gone, and I had to have a cast put on my leg because I busted up my knee, and and I went to Gorgas Hospital.
Right. No big deal. That's the way it worked, man. And then you're back out there running around again.
I think nobody even asked you, like, what's your ID or anything like that. It was just, come on in, kid. We'll take care of you.
Yeah. Here, give this to your parents when you get home. That's great. No, that's hilarious. And we had a couple of people from Albrook earlier on the Albrook Facebook page, because we did post it on there earlier, and there was a couple names which, again, I don't recognize any of these names, but some people mentioned that one of them mentioned that she was a cheerleader on the team. I'm trying to see if I can find it on here, but let me see if that post is on here. There was a Rich Fisher You guys, does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, my
No.
memory doesn't go back very well that far.
That one actually may be closer to our age group, but someone else messaged about being a cheerleader. But nonetheless, that was, it's this. I want to do more of these and certainly give a little bit more lead time and get your dad on as well and get Joe's audio and all that working so we can, you know, continue to share these great stories because I want to talk to you guys about how the team came to be. And then I think early on you probably had a lot of Albrook players, but as the years evolved, and I guess as things started to thin down, you started seeing more and more players coming in from the Los Rios and the Diablo areas.
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting and even have some of those guys on to talk about what that was like, because I think there was a difference there in the folks that were in the military. Even though you were in part of the zone, I think it was a different lifestyle. I think it was a different vibe, right? A lot of these guys, you're used to moving around. You're not used to being in a place where some of the guys I played football with, I've known for 10, 11 years. I mean, even at that age, right? That we grew up with them on the same street, where a lot of your friends were their friends for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then off you went.
Well, go ahead. Well, this was exceptional for us being a dependent, because we never had a 5-year stint,
Right.
in my dad's career and us as kids. If you were 2.5 years max, you were going off somewhere else. So the parents loved it probably just as much as we did.
I'll bet.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I went down to Panama when I was 9.
Yeah.
Right? And I think within a year when the Kopskis went down, and we played football together. We played baseball together. We went to the same elementary school together.
Yeah.
When we would have competition between the areas on the base, like you spoke about, Joey and Ray were there. Billy Gonzalez was there. A group of other guys that
Bruce Bateman.
Bruce, absolutely.
Yeah, Bobby Salinas, and then my brother Jeff. I mean, there was 4 boys in the Kopsky family, but Salinas had a big family too.
We played football and baseball, and when we wanted to just play when we're in between seasons, we'd go get everybody together and throw baseballs and hit baseballs or whatever.
Yeah.
We had a big hill right there next to Beam Stadium that we used to ride our bikes down without helmets on.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
And during dry season, would get big sheets of cardboard. It was
right on.
Guys, this reminds me. That hill, being from Balboa, we always heard.
So.
Oh, sorry. We always heard that the reason why you guys won was because your coach would make you go up and down that hill.
Oh yeah, sure.
And that was your conditioning.
That was super strong.
I think we did that at the end of practice. Like we had to run down the hill twice or something. Hey, the guy was—I think he was a colonel, and he was a colonel in the Air Force.
Well, Coach Beecham, Joey. Too bad Joey couldn't join us, because I talked to Joey during the week, and he told me a story, a true story, or how he met up with Coach Beecham, before he passed away, and it was how he met up with him was he met up with him through his daughter, and we'll have to have him tell that story. But Coach Beecham, he was a great guy, and he was a great coach. I mean, you never forget your coaches, but he was. I just don't remember being nothing really stressful. You know what I mean? I just remember us enjoying playing. I just don't. I don't have any bad memories of.
Now, who would be your biggest rival as the Albrook Jets? Who would you guys consider your biggest rival?
It had to be Balboa.
Okay.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was because the year before, we only had 2 losses, and they were for the to the Balboa Rams. So like I said, we beat the Rams, but like I said, we just about lost to the Clayton Cowboys.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, was there? Did you guys feel any kind of a rivalry against Howard, being that they're like the 2 Air Force bases? Did that play any kind of a?
Well, all the games were rivals.
I guess so. You're right.
Well, every game we played was same, had the same intensity. We just
I mean, for us, Kiwanis was our biggest rival. Was certainly Kiwanis, without a doubt. It was, Balboa, which was the hub of the Canal Zone, and Kiwanis was the Panama team. Cristobal was a different kind of rival. That's more the Pacific side, Atlantic side rival, and that to us was, I think, more of a fun thing because it was that train ride.
Oh
going to
yeah, that's I'll never forget the train rides, especially coming back. I mean,
right? Yes.
Well, the Quanties guys were just getting started. They didn't,
Yeah.
they're trying to understand,
oh
they
yeah.
were
Well,
calling their signals in Spanish. They were.
we're going to learn that next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We've got hopefully the Kiwanis are joining us next week,
Oh,
and we're
cool.
going to have some of those
Yeah,
conversations.
you guys
Guy
do that
Nacchio,
again. Yeah.
yeah, he was instrumental in he's got a lot of history in the zone and with Kiwanis and a lot of history there as well with bringing those guys on. So that'll be a great to hear what they started.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, and they were absolutely, John. Listen, we played a championship game against Kiwanis, and the president of the country was there in the
Wow.
and
gosh.
it's funny. It's one of those stories that you can. I do it at work. I'm a trainer, a corporate trainer. So whenever we have a new hire class, we do an icebreaker and throw like 2 truths and a lie, and I'll throw like, listen, I played in an international football game where the president of the country was watching us play, and oh really? That's got to be a lie. I was like, well, actually, it wasn't. That's the way it was down in Panama for us,
Well, when I graduated, my from 2 years at Canal Zone College, right? The guy that was the vice president of the country, I can't remember his name now. But the funny part was that he had gone to school at Texas A&M, and so when he got up there and spoke in English, he had a really Southern Texas accent.
Oh, nice!
And it was the last thing you ever expected to be coming out of his mouth, right?
Definitely not Panamanian sounding.
Yeah, I mean, no Spanish accent whatsoever.
Right? Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and the funny thing is that football now in Panama is huge. They have several leagues, and they've had a lot of success with it, and it's still ongoing there. So
amazing, isn't it?
Eventually, once the the whole Canal Zone thing came to an end, the Kiwanis actually formed the league, and then they actually there's another league that has, if I'm not mistaken, Ricky, correct me if I'm wrong. There's another league now that has surpassed the Kiwanis league. Is the main football league there?
They still have like us. They still have the heavyweights and lightweights, but they call it something else. And then they also have varsity. It's really big there. Varsity football is the elite league in Panama.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they still have, but they have micro peewees now. In other words, in Panama, you start playing football at 6.
Yeah, well, that's my first coaching gig here in the States was 6 and 7 year olds in full pads.
Yeah, Panama, you start at 6 years old now.
Yeah.
And they're we had dominant in the international competition, like U18 like that. Panama always does very well internationally. Against Mexico,
they've got to have that pedigree now.
Puerto Rico, the other nations that play ball. I mean, they've beaten the U.S. All-Stars several times too.
Well, you think about it. I mean, it's in 2024. There are probably kids playing in Panama that are probably 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th generation. Well, maybe not that far, but at least 3rd and 4th generation football players.
Yeah.
Because we're talking 50 years now that since the Kiwanis started playing football down there.
Amazing.
But and then we had back in May or June, we had several of our high school coaches on. We had Coach Houston, Coach Holland down in Panama, and Coach Bales. And Coach Holland still helps recruit players to send up not just to the U.S., but to Mexico. Apparently, Mexico college football is big. And so a lot of kids playing in Panama that don't quite reach the level to play in the U.S. are going and playing and getting a college education in Mexico and playing football.
Yeah, because they get full scholarships, right?
Yeah.
They'll play there, yeah.
That's amazing because I would never in my wildest dreams have thought that that Mexico would be a destination for a American football player. It's kind of bizarre to see how that works, but
cool.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So, but listen, guys, we've actually gone a little bit longer than we were going to go, and I'd love to keep going with this. I'd like to go and do a part 2 and certainly bring the rest of these folks on, which is why we always want to try and meet ahead of time so we make sure we have all these things, ironed out. But nonetheless, it's part of the gig here. We've had worse fiascos than this, trust me. But really, really enjoyed learning about how you guys got started and how the Albrook Jets came in. And man, you guys came in barnstorming, man. Y'all didn't just join and then get beat up for a while and then figure it out. You guys came in and figured it out pretty damn quick, which is impressive.
The first year, right? Was the first year you guys did. Yeah, the very first year, right on.
Yeah, I gotta love
I,
that.
I'll give Mike Nazarenko a lot of credit for that because that guy was an exceptional quarterback.
Yeah, he. Oh well, yeah, he. I mean, he was kind of God sent. But in the receivers, of course, loved him. But we had some great. They were just waiting for somebody that could really put a spiral on the ball.
Right. Well, and what's interesting is like when I played in all the years that I played, we really didn't throw the ball a lot.
No,
I
we did.
mean, not much at all. It seems like some of the teams prior to us, which usually you think that as you go further along in football, as football evolved, that the passing game became more prominent. But I mean, we ran the wishbone, which is certainly not a passing offense. But
No.
even in heavyweights, I don't remember throwing the ball. We did, but not often.
Yeah.
No, Panama's still a running team. They still till today have the big running backs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huge linemen.
I have to say that Billy, I can't remember if did you make the All-Star team?
Yeah.
Well, we played the Shrine. Was that the one we played the team from Miami?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
K-Line coach or the core game.
That's where we were coached under Coach Dare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for 2 weeks, and then it was when I was down there visiting with y'all this past summer for the Balboa Rams reunion.
Yeah,
and it all came back to me when somebody said, "I remember Coach Dare said, Kopsky, get that banana out of your ear."
Apparently, that was a saying of his because I heard that quite a bit.
He was famous for that. Get the banana out of your ear.
So John Houston's asking if Guillermo Birmingham played for Albrook.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure he did.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah.
Guillermo, and when we played Little League baseball, Guillermo was my first catcher. I saw him in Washington D.C. probably 6 or 7 years ago, and we went and had lunch and chatted about all that. It was his memories,
Well, I'll take this when we get done with this. I'll upload it again to the Albrook Facebook page, so more people start watching it. And then the next time we get together, we'll have some other people that might join us as well to share some of their stories and start building some of that group as well. But nonetheless, this was a lot of fun, guys. I'm glad we're finally getting, spreading our wings, right, and not just focusing on Balboa and the Canal Zone and Zonians, because you guys all played a big role in giving us some good sports and of course a lot of Zonian friendships that we've learned over the years. So,
Well, yeah, just thinking the parents, we ain't thought about the parents yet.
Certainly. And that's why there's another Albrook show in the works here. That's not even just Albrook Jets, right? The whole Albrook experience, because as we've learned now that we had all the different areas in Albrook, then you guys had your little gangs over there and your rivals as well. So it'll be cool to visit and talk about some of those as well. But listen, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate having you guys on. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to round 2 of this here in the near future. So, but in the meantime, thanks again for joining us. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Jim Kopsky and Bill Breeden. Appreciate having you guys.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Appreciate the invite.
Yep, of course. Anytime. We'll talk to you guys later.
Go Vols.
Yes, sir. Go Vols. Right on. Oh, that was cool, Ricky. That was a lot of fun, man.
It's good to and to see their, that how they lived in their towns, very similar to the way Balboa kids rolled. So that was good. No, I'm glad we're doing this, Willie. Expanding the Little League format, Little League football format. Right on, Will.
Yeah, for sure. Bruce, thanks for joining in. Thanks for chiming in. Appreciate you. As usual, guys, one of our sponsors as well in Zonian Life. These guys were the original social media connection to the Canal Zone was Zonian Life before the Facebook, became popular and whatnot. And there's still a lot of great things there on that website, in addition to some great merchandise. So thank you for keeping that going, Bruce. It's the holiday season, guys. If you're going to do some shopping, go to Zonian Life, man. You can get some really cool Zonian stuff there, and not just shirts, man. They have some cool coasters and stickers and a lot of really good stuff there. Check them out. You'll definitely like them. So, but Ricky, man, this is a good show. This is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of these. Fort Clayton guys, Howard Air Force Base, we're coming, guys. We want to talk to you guys as well. We want to spread the wealth. The Canal Zone was much more than just Balboa and Cristobal. There's a lot more involved in it, and we certainly appreciate all our military families that made the Canal Zone what it was and helped us out there. So
Absolutely. Part of the whole Zonian experience.
yeah, indeed it was. Indeed it was. So but nonetheless, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up in here just a bit. Ricky, next week we have, if I'm not mistaken, we have the Kiwanis on, correct?
Yes, we have a couple of great guests coming on. Talk about their experience, like the Albrook Jets did. They came in at the same time. We got a couple of their OGs coming on, as well as some pretty big political figures from Panama that are going to join us.
Yeah, no, that's a lot
Bulo
of fun.
Linares will be on. Yes.
Yeah, no, indeed, and there's a lot of history there with those guys as well that we're excited to bring on here also. So definitely stay tuned for that. Like I said, the history show with Dave, our historian, non-historian, for scheduling reasons, we moved it to the 15th. But fear not, this is a 5-weekend month in November, so we'll have him on here in a couple of weeks, and then he'll be back on here at the beginning of December again for his regular schedule. But nonetheless, guys, again, we're excited. Chiming in, send us your ideas of what you want to see next on the show. Really appreciate having you guys on, and again, guys, this is a show for you guys. This is the Canal Zone show, so excited to do that. Next week, again, we will have a bit longer of a Bochinche show, and we want to get back to our Made in Panama, because that should be a lot of fun. But nonetheless, thanks again, guys. Thanks for making these weekends fun. Thanks for helping us kick off the weekends Canal Zone style. It's always a lot of fun. A lot of fun visiting with you guys. It's always fun having my cohort on the West Coast, Ricky, join and give that Panama vibe from it. Which he's got obviously a great history in both the Canal Zone and in Panama. You've got family that goes way back. His great grandfather was one of the founding fathers of the country. So it's really cool to have that aspect and that piece on it here. But again, guys, thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Looking forward to next week. Kiwani's Colts will be on. We're going to learn some cool Panama football stuff. So again, Ricky, get us out of here, man. Send us off on our weekend, brother.
Hey, guys, thank you for joining us and starting your weekend with us. Like Willie said, listen, we really love you guys. We love doing this for you guys. And we want to say thank you every single Friday from the bottom of our hearts.
Salute.
Thank you.
One last cheers. Absolutely, man. So anyway, Ricky, have yourself an awesome weekend. I'll talk to you Sunday. We'll jump on here if we want to do a little bit of work on here. But have a great weekend, brother.
Yes, you guys too, man. Thank you very much.
Love that view, man.